Namaste, Swati. Good morning. We just started the Facebook live stream, so we will start our reading. By the grace and instruction of our spiritual master, Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa, Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're also paying our humble Dandavat Pranam to Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada for providing us this wonderful commentary and translation of Bhagavatam. And following the guidance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, we are praying to Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī. Yadi sevā-vañcitāḥ yasyāḥ kṛpayā vayaṃ labhema sarvaṃ prāpnumaḥ prayojanaṃ dhāmni śrī-bhagavat pade Kṛṣṇa-sambandhi sarvaṃ Yadi na jānīmahe tutam Aṣṭādaśasu sahasreṣu ślokānāṃ bhāgavat-oktiṣu Rādhārānīṃ na vindāmaḥ tadā niṣphalaṃ bhagavat-adhyayanam radhikaya kripam vina vyartasyat sarva-pariśramaḥ. If we are cheated out of serving that personality whose mercy awards us everything we need, including residence in the Lord's holy Dham and all things connected to Krishna, and if we cannot understand or discover Rādhārānīṃ within the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, then our study of Srimad Bhagavatam has been pointless. Without the mercy of Śrīmatī Rādhārānīṃ, all our efforts are in vain. So we are continuing our reading today from Canto 5. Chapter 22, Text 9. Atachapuryam manabhischa kalibhir amarhanam chiyamanabhischa kalabi pitranam aho ratrani purva pakshapara pakshabhyam vitanvana sarva jiva nivaha prano jivaschaikam ekam nakshatram trimshata muhurtar bhunkte. When the moon is waxing, the illuminating portions of it increase daily, thus creating day for the demigods and night for the Impetus. When the moon is waning, however, it causes night for the demigods and day for the Impetus. In this way, the moon passes through each constellation of stars in 30 muhurtas, an entire day. The moon is the source of nectarian coolness that influences the growth of food grains, and therefore the moon is considered the life of all living entities. He is consequently called Jiva, the chief living being within the universe. So Impetus is ancestors, right? Previously they were glorifying the sun. Bhagavatam was glorifying the sun, Surya Dev, and now the moon is being glorified. Text 10. Ya esha sodasa kala purusho bhagavan manomayo nanmayo mritamayo deva pitra manusya bhuta pashu pakshi sarishripa virudham pranapyayana shilatvat sarvamaya iti varnayanti. Because the moon is full of all potentialities, it represents the influence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The moon is the predominating deity of everyone's mind, and therefore the moon god is called Manomaya. He is called Annamaya because he gives potency to all herbs and plants, and he is called Amritamaya because he is the source of life for all living entities. The moon pleases the demigods, pittas, human beings, animals, birds, reptiles, trees, plants, and all other living entities. Everyone is satisfied by the presence of the moon. Therefore, the moon is called Sarvamaya, all-pervading. Text 11. Tata uparishtad dvilaksha yojanato nakshatrani merum dakshine naiva kalayana ishvara yojitani sahabijatasta vimshatihi. There are many stars located 200,000 yojanas, or 1,600,000 miles above the moon. By the supreme will, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are fixed to the wheel of time, and thus they rotate with Mount Sumeru on their right, their motion being different from that of the sun. There are 28 important stars headed by Abhijit. Purport. The stars referred to herein are 1,600,000 miles above the sun, and thus they are 4 million miles above the earth. Text 12. Tata uparishtad ushana dvilaksha yojanata upalabhyate purata paschat sahaiva varkasya sargriya mandya samyabir gatibir arkavacharati lokanam nityadanukula eva prayena varshayams charenhanumiyate sa vrishti vishtamba griyaho pashamana. Some 1,600,000 miles above this group of stars is the planet Venus, which moves at almost exactly the same pace as the sun, according to swift, slow, and moderate movements. Sometimes Venus moves behind the sun, sometimes in front of the sun, and sometimes along with it. Venus nullifies the influence of planets that are obstacles to rainfall. Consequently, its presence causes rainfall, and it is therefore considered very favorable for all living beings within this universe. This has been accepted by learned scholars. Text 13. Ushanasa buddho vyakhyatastata uparishtadvilaksha yojanato buddha somasuta upalabhyamana prayena subakrid yadarkad vyatir ichita tadati vatabraha prayana vrishyadi vayaṃ asham shate. Mercury is described to be similar to Venus, in that it moves sometimes behind the sun, sometimes in front of the sun, and sometimes along with it. It is 1,600,000 miles above Venus, or 7,200,000 miles above Earth. Mercury, which is the son of the moon, is almost always very auspicious for the inhabitants of the universe. But when it does not move along with the sun, it forebodes cyclones, dust, irregular rainfall, and waterless clouds. In this way, it creates fearful conditions due to inadequate or excessive rainfall. Text 14. Ata urdvam angharako prayojanaṃ lakshadvitaya upalabhyamanas tribhi-pakshar ekaikasorasin tvadasanu bhunkte yadina vakrena vivartate prayena shubha graho gasamshaha. Situated 1,600,000 miles above Mercury, or 8,800,000 miles above Earth, is the planet Mars. If this planet does not travel in a crooked way, it crosses through each sign of the zodiac in 3 fortnights, and in this way travels through all 12, one after another. It almost always creates unfavorable conditions in respect to rainfall and other influences. (15) Tata uparśṭadvilaksha yojanantara gata bhagavan brihaspatir ekaikasmin raso parivatsaram charati yadina vakrasyat prayenanukulo brahmana kulasya. Situated 1,600,000 miles above Mars, or 10,400,000 miles above Earth, is the planet Jupiter, which travels through one sign of the zodiac within the period of a parivatsara. If this movement is not curved, the planet Jupiter is very favorable to the brahmanas of the universe. Text 16. Tata uparistad yojana lakshadvayat pratiyamana sanaischara ekaikasmin rasho trimsan masan vilambamana sarvan evanu paryati tavadbir anuvatsarai prayena hi sarvesham ashanti karaha. Situated 1,600,000 miles above Jupiter, or 12 million miles above Earth, is the planet Saturn, which passes through one sign of the zodiac in 30 months and covers the entire zodiac circle in 30 anuvatsaras. This planet is always very auspicious for the universal situation. Text 17. Tata utarasmad rishaya ekadasa lakshayo janantara upalabhyante ya eva lokanam sam anubhavayanto bhagavato vishnur yat paramam padam pradakshinam prakramanti. Situated 8,800,000 miles above Saturn, or 20,800,000 miles above Earth, are the 7 saintly sages, who are always thinking of the well-being of the inhabitants of the universe. They circumambulate the supreme abode of Lord Vishnu, known as Dhruva Loka, the pole star. Purport. Srila Madhvacharya quotes the following verse from Brahmanda Purana. Jnanandatmano Vishnu Sishumara Vapusyata urdhvalokeshu savyapta adityadhyastad ashrita. Lord Vishnu, who is the source of knowledge and transcendental bliss, has assumed the form of Sishumar in the seventh heaven, which is situated in the topmost level of the universe. All the other planets, beginning with the Sun, exist under the shelter of this Sishumar planetary system. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 5th Canto, 22nd chapter. And we'll read the summary of the next chapter, and then we will conclude our reading for today. So, chapter 23. This chapter describes how all the planetary systems take shelter of the pole star Dhruva Loka. It also describes the totality of these planetary systems to be Sishumar, another expansion of the external body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dhruva Loka, the abode of Lord Vishnu within this universe, is situated 1,300,000 yojanas from the 7 stars. And the planetary system of Dhruva Loka are the planets of the fire god Indra, Prajapati, Kasyapa, and Dharma, all of whom are very respectful to the great devotee Dhruva, who lives on the pole star. Like bulls yoked to a central pivot, all the planetary systems revolve around Dhruva Loka, impelled by eternal time. Those who worship the Virat Purusha, the universal form of the Lord, conceive of this entire rotating system of planets as an animal known as Sishumar. This imaginary Sishumar is another form of the Lord. The head of the Sishumar form is downward, and its body appears like that of a coiled snake. On the end of its tail is Dhruva Loka. On the body of the tail are Prajapati, Agni, Indra, and Dharma. And on the root of the tail are Datta and Vidatta. On its waist are the 7 great sages. The entire body of Sishumar faces towards its right and appears like a coil of stars. On the right side of this coil are the 14 prominent stars, from Abhijit to Punarvasu, and on the left side are the 14 prominent stars from Pusya to Uttarasadha. The stars known as Punarvasu and Pusya are on the right and left hips of Sishumar, and the stars known as Ardra and Ashlesha are on the right and left feet of the Sishumar. Other stars are also fixed on different sides of Sishumar planetary system according to the calculations of Vedic astronomers. To concentrate their minds, yogis worship the Sishumar planetary system, which is technically known as the Kundalini chakra. And thus ends our reading for today. We will continue from chapter 23, text 1 on Wednesday. So it's very nice that we're approaching how Bhagavatam contextualizes all these details of the Bhagavat perspective of cosmos as limbs of the body of a form of the Lord known as Sishumar. So that's more explicitly this personal conception that everything is a part of a conscious person. So, before we conclude, were there any comments or questions or anything to share from the assembled devotees?
Why did it say it was imaginary?
Imaginary?
Yeah, that the body of was imaginary in the summary.
Summary. Let me just go back one moment.
If it's a form of the Lord, why is it imaginary?
Yeah. I think that was because so the last sentence says, to concentrate their minds, yogis worship the Sushumna planetary system, which is technically known as the Kundalini chakra. So this form of the Lord is meant for the yogis who are looking to gradually elevate their mind based on their own power, right? So in Bhagavad Gita, we are told that there are 4 main systems of yoga. Karma yoga, which is, self-centered fruit of that. To say it very shortly, without elaborating, karma yoga is more self-centered fruit of action where everything is very calculated and like that. We do something and expect an exact thing in return from that action. And karma yoga is when we start to offer those fruits that we expect as an offering to the Lord, but we're still very calculated in our activity and we think ourselves to be controllers in many ways. Then there's Jnana yoga, which is when the suffering or the anxiety that is entailed in that karmic activity becomes too overwhelming for somebody and they just want to withdraw everything, renunciation or tyag. They look for mukti. That's Dhyan yoga. Then Ashtanga yoga is a little more personal when they recognize that they neither want to be engaged in karmic activity and entangled, neither do they want to reject everything. They want to establish some relationship with the Lord. So they use their body to engage in yama, niyama, pranayama, asana, right, dhyana, this meditation. So they go through the limbs of yoga to gradually make their bodies still so they can sit in meditation and realize the form of the Lord in the heart, that is Paramatma. So for these, and then Bhakti Yoga is the 4th kind, where essentially we're de-emphasizing our personal power and subjugating it to the will of the Lord and wanting to be surrendered to the will of the Lord and render service and use everything in our environment, use our body, mind, and words in service for the Lord and for the pleasure of the Lord. So that's the 4th kind, Bhakti Yoga. But that 3rd kind of yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, where it's very, it's a very drawn out kind of process where meditation occurs when the body is stilled, and then they can further once that body is stilled and the meditation is achieved internally, then they're also extending that vision externally, because what so above as below, or as above so below. So the manifestation of the internal cosmos that the yogis become aware of in their meditation, they realize that it's actually a reflection of the outer cosmos and vice versa. So when they're meditating on the outer aspect of those cosmos, and again, just like on the inner version of the cosmos, they're meditating on Paramatma, on this outer meditation of the cosmos, they're still seeing the Lord there, but it's the universal form of the Lord, which in Gita is described as not the highest vision of who the Lord is. So when it says imaginary in this introduction of Sishumar, where Sishumar is just basically another word for the Virat Purusha, it says that here. It says, those who worship the Virat Purusha, the universal form of the Lord, conceive of this entire rotating system of planets as an animal known as Sishumar. This imaginary Sishumar is another form of the Lord. But they're calling it imaginary because it's, Prabhupada is calling it imaginary, I think, because it's something for the sake of the meditation of the yogis. It's not an avatar of the Lord that has come for his own lila. He's not incarnating as a Sishumar, and Sishumar has associates that he comes with, and paraphernalia that he comes with, and is exemplifying a personal form. Sishumar isn't like that. It's essentially like like a giant constellation almost, which is meant for the yogis to meditate on so they could see the Lord in the macrocosmic manifestation, just like they're trying to see the Lord in the microcosmic manifestation of their heart as Paramatma. So this is my attempt to explain why this word imaginary is there, because Sishumar is an avatar. It's not an avatar. So anyhow, I hope that helps. So we will conclude our meeting here for today. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Shripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Tirtha Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Panuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees. Sama Bhaktiveda Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Giri Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai, Shyam Radhakund Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Scientific Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Princeton Bhaktivedanta Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Math Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari 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 Bol. Jai Shri Devi Dasi Ki Jai, Śrīmatī Tulsi Maharani Devi Dasi Ki Jai, Śrīmatī Bhakti Ki Jai, Hare Krishna.
And Kṛṣṇa Kesava Das Brahmachari Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.